जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna devotees, welcome all of you for today's second session on Nectar of Instruction. So just a quick recap what we saw in last session, and then we'll proceed ahead. So last session we saw some introduction to the book Nectar of Instruction, and along with that introduction, we saw the history of how this book came up, basically how it is instructions by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, and then later on recorded and given by Srila Rup Goswami to all of us. And then we also saw the meaning of the name of the book, Sri Updesh Amrit, all auspicious instructions, a nectar of instructions. And then we heard about the author Rup Goswami. Vrindavanyam rasakeli vartam कालेन दुप्तां निजशक्ति मुक्ता संचार्य रूपे वेतनोत्पुनसा पपुर्विधोर प्रागिवलोकशिष्टिम. We saw that how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he impregnated the knowledge in the heart of Rup Goswami, that knowledge which is required to go and revive back a relationship at Golok Vrindavan, just like Krishna impregnated the heart of Brahmaji with the Vedic knowledge. And then we heard about what commentaries we are going to see. In fact, Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur's commentary, our Srila Prabhupada himself has included in his book. And with the permission of our authorities, because we have read many times Nectar of Instruction just for the better and even discuss some more commentaries and some aspects from Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam also. And then we saw the glorification. After that, we saw various themes covered in the Srila Prabhupada's purport throughout the book, 7 themes covered. And we also saw how Bhakti Vinod Thakur gives overview of the book in terms of Vedi sadhana, Raganuga sadhana, Bhav and Prem, and in terms of 9 stages. Then we entered into the Prabhupada's preface, 4 important elements. First is Rup Goswami and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, why we are called Rupanugas. This movement is under the supervision of Rup Goswami, why it is important to understand that, and why Updeshamrit is needed. And of course, Prabhupada made a point, without controlling mind and senses, one cannot make any advancement in spiritual life. Any matlab kuch bhi nahi kar sakte. So therefore, controlling mind and senses should be done prominently. And that can be done when one comes in mode of goodness. And then finally, attitude of a devotee, of a Goswami. These are the things which we covered. And then today, we are going to start with this verse, text 1, mind and sense control. The theme which is covered in this verse mostly, and very famous verse, which all of us can recite. And as I requested, that we all can learn also these verses. It will be good if we can learn these verses, all the 11 verses, so that we can, always be ready to speak about these verses. So let us recite this verse together, and then all of you can be muted and keep on reciting along with me. वाचो वेगम मनसा क्रोध वेगम जीवा वेगम उदरुपस्थ वेगम एतान वेगान यो विषहेत धीरा सर्वाम अपि मां पृथ्वीम च शिष्यात्. So synonyms of all means word to word meaning by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ji, Srila Prabhupada ki chai. He says Vachaha of speech, Vegam urge, Manasa of the mind, Krodha of anger, Vegam urge, Jivaha of the tongue, Vegam urge, Udar upastha of the belly and genitals, Vegam urge, Etan these, Vegan urges, Ya whoever, Vishaheta can tolerate, Dhira sober, Sarvam all, Api certainly, Imam this, the twin world, Saha that personality, Shishyat can make disciples. Translation. A sober person who can tolerate the urge to speak, the mind's demands, the actions of anger and the urges of tongue, belly, and genitals is qualified to make disciples all over the world. Very special shloka by Rup Goswami. So let us see how Prabhupada has given this purport in his very special commentary rather into this book. So there are total 19 paragraphs in the purport of Srila Prabhupada. It's very important that we understand how Prabhupada, makes his purport ready for his disciples, because they are, Prabhupada says it is directly given by Krishna. So it becomes all the more special because these purports are given by Krishna. So how Krishna wants us to understand these purports, is very good. So there are total 19 purports, 19 paragraphs in this purport, in which Srila Prabhupada, he gives his commentary in the starting 8 paragraphs, in which he talks about, first paragraph, he talks about process of atonement. Second, talks about real atonement by Krishna consciousness. Why Prabhupada talks about these things, you will see. Q directly, Prabhupada not started directly by the urge to speak. Directly, why he didn't started? Why he started with process of atonement and real atonement by Krishna consciousness. Then Prabhupada talks subsequent paragraphs about Vacha, Manasa, Krodha, Jiva, and Upastha. Surprisingly, Prabhupada doesn't mention much about Udara, about stomach. And then he gives conclusion. And after 8 paragraphs, Prabhupada brings in the commentary by his Guru Maharaj, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. From paragraph 9 onwards, he introduces the commentary of his Guru Maharaj Anuvritti, and then he actually kind of gives us the commentary of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur, in which he talks about urge to speak, mind, anger, tongue, belly, genitals, and conclusion, everything. So let us enter into it. But before entering, let us understand why this verse is spoken like this. Because generally any book starts, it should start with, "Okay, I'll give you instruction," because it is about instruction. But these are the instructions which started, if you want to become a guru. Why this started directly, if you want to become a guru? Why Rup Goswami is directly telling all of us that you become a guru? So actually, there is a very special reason behind this, which various devotees and acharyas have quoted, and I have just copied from them. So there is one acharya named Radha Raman Goswami. He is in the line of Gopal Bhatt Goswami. He says, somebody can read?
The conclusion is that a sadhaka who has conquered his senses and subdued these passions can purify all the jivas of the world by his resolute and pure Uttama Bhakti.
Correct. So actually, he says that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "Yaro dekho tare go Krishna upadesh, amara ho gaya guru hoya tare desh." Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said all of you should become guru. But how we can become guru? First and foremost, one needs to control his senses. So he says, if we want to fulfill the instructions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then the need is that we should control. So basically, adhikar for prachar is one should be having control over mind and senses. That's the reason. His Holiness Shivram Swami Maharaj, Prabhupada's disciple, he says, please read somebody.
Rupa Goswami is giving these instructions directly to Jiv Goswami, who wanted to defeat scholar as if his guru.
So he says, because one of the reason is Rup Goswami is speaking this instruction to Jiv Goswami, as we heard last time. So now he wants to say, "Arey, you are becoming guru. First, understand what is the qualification of guru. And you are thinking you can correct that scholar. First, you should be correct in that sense. And third reason, I heard from Hari Parsha Prabhu, one of the very good scholar in our movement. He writes, please read somebody.
As an attractive offer for neophytes to come and become pure devotees. It's like offering comb to a person who is about to shave his head.
Correct. So actually, he says a different angle, and he mentions that actually, why Rup Goswami is giving this instruction, as Prabhupada said, these are the instructions for neophyte. So when neophyte will hear, "Arey, मैं guru बन जाऊंगा, wow, what is good thing, बहुत अच्छा है, I will, become guru." So he will think what to do for becoming guru, and then he will come to this standard, that let me become guru by following Vacho Vegam, Mansa Krodh Vegam, and all this. And by the time he will successfully control all these urges, he will lose the desire of becoming guru. Just like Dhruva Maharaj, by the time he got, or He received the darshan of Supreme Personality of Godhead. His desire to get kingdom greater than his grandfather also lost. So this is an attractive offer to actually cheat the living entity. If you want to become Guru, follow this. And once you will follow this, then you will lose the desire of becoming Guru. And it's like giving a comb to a person who is going to shave his head. है ना? अरे वो शेव करने वाला है, उसको कंघे की जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी. But still, Rupa Goswami is giving this attractive offer. So now let us, before entering, there are some things which as a devotee we should understand. What is the thing? This our acharyas have talked about, that these verses, when you talk, they have nothing to do with bhakti directly. In fact, we have heard that Rup Goswami has given this 11 verses for neophyte to directly, how step by step he can reach to this highest stage, of Krishna Prema in the footsteps of gopis and understand and realize how Golok is the highest abode and love of the gopis, and in that Srimati Radharani is special. So then you should start with something spiritual, na? Something related to bhakti. One should chant, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, and all these things. But why Rupa Goswami is starting like this? Is he going to speak about bhakti or something else? So, this shlokas, if we read directly the meaning of the shlokas, they have no relationship with bhakti. What relationship does mind control have with bhakti? Or controlling the speech has with bhakti? There are so many people who are able to control their speech, their mind. But does that mean that they're bhaktas? No. Then why Rupa Goswami inculcate these things? So the answer is given by R. Acharya Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Please read.
The essence of bhajan is cultivating activities meant solely for Krishna's pleasure, Bhagavad Anushilan. Accepting the favorable and rejecting the unfavorable are aspects of surrender, Sharanagati, not direct limbs of pure devotion. Such surrendering faith bestows qualification for practicing Shuddh Bhakti. These instructions, however, are not applicable for pure devotees.
Correct. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, key essence of cultivating bhajan is Bhagavad Anushilam, pleasure of Krishna. Anya Bilashita Shunyam. And that is the purpose. But if we want to really do bhajan, first and foremost, we have to surrender to Krishna. We have to accept Sharanagati. So without entering into the limb of Sharanagati, one cannot actually practice bhakti. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he has written, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Jive Doya Kari, in that shloka, in that Vaishnav song, he says that why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has appeared in this world? To teach Sharanagati to the people of this world. Why Sharanagati? Because until unless we are not practicing Sharanagati, how we can enter into the realm of bhakti? Yes, we can do something here and there. But actually, when we are serious, to the degree we are surrendered, to that degree, we can practice the limbs of bhakti. So similarly, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is telling, these verses may not constitute directly bhakti, but these are the aspects of Sharanagati. One of the aspects of Sharanagati is, there are 6 aspects. One is accept what is favorable. Another one is to reject what is unfavorable. So these verses, they are not direct limb of bhakti, but they are indirect limb of bhakti. Because if you follow this, then you are surrendered. Once you are surrendered, then you can progress more. And therefore, these instructions are not applicable for pure devotees because they are already Sharanagat Bhaktas. For them, but for neophyte, it is there. And as Prabhupada mentioned, this book is meant for raising, starting from neophyte. Something Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur also says. Somebody else can read, Prabhu, please.
A precious gift from Sri Rupa Goswami, summarizing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teaching for sincere sadhakas, contains 2 main instructions. 1, give up unfavorable things. 2nd, adopt favorable things for bhakti. Without applying these, neither bhav bhakti nor prem bhakti can manifest. How people respond? Many reject these teachings following distorted doctrines like Sahijya and Mayavad, fearing Updeshamrit as if it were Yamraj's punishment. Faithful devotees who study, recite, and practice it with love become free of doubts and attain Bhav Bhakti, ultimately reaching rare Prema Bhakti.
Correct. So Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur says that Rup Goswami has given this instruction for reaching to Prema Bhakti. And he has given a precious gift from Sri Rupa Goswami, summarizing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings for sincere sadhaka. Amazing thing, no? Sincere sadhaka, he writes. So if those who are sincere sadhaka, they will be worrying how I can achieve that prema bhakti. And then he will understand I have to follow something favorable and reject something which is unfavorable. And Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur says, if they don't follow these instructions which are given in Updeshamrit, and forget about prema, they cannot get bhava also. So therefore, a sincere sadhaka will like to follow these instructions. Otherwise, when devotees or even non-devotees, sahajiyas, when they hear these instructions first time, they fear this. Arey, how cruel can be? Rupa Goswami gave so much difficult instructions. And I was thinking he will give something lenient. Just get up in the morning, water Tulsi Marani, your Bhakti Lata will grow. Ah, kitna acha hai, how so good it is. But he has given such a strict instruction. But faithful devotees, like all of you, they will actually study, not only study, recite, not only recite, but practice these instructions with love. You know, becoming free from doubts that these instructions are actually limb of bhakti, and they will achieve bhava and ultimately prema bhakti. So in one sense, Bhakti Sai Thakur is telling that those who are faithful, they will love to follow these instructions. So now let us enter into the purport by Srila Prabhupada and what Prabhupada talks about in his purport. So as we saw, that first paragraph, Prabhupada talks about process of atonement. Yes, please read, Prabhu.
In Srimad Bhagavatam 6.1.9 to 10, Parikshit Maharaj placed a number of intelligent questions before Sukadeva Goswami. One of these questions was, why do people undergo atonement if they cannot control their senses? For instance, a thief may know perfectly well that he may be arrested for his stealing, and he may actually even see a thief arrested by the police, yet he continues to steal. 4 levels of intelligence with the example of how one restrains from stealing. Number one, learn by hearing from scriptures stealing is bad. Second, learn by seeing others being arrested. Third, learn after experience oneself imprisonment. Imprisonment. Fourth, does not learn even after hearing, seeing, and experiencing. If punishment in jail is considered atonement, what is the benefit of such atonement?
Correct. So this is an intelligent question which is asked by Parikshit Maharaj in 6th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam to Sukadeva Goswami. That there are so many ways of prayashchit or atonement given in the scriptures. But actually, one atones and again commits sins. He doesn't understand. Then what is the use of such atonement? And Prabhupada writes beautifully, intelligent people, 4 levels of intelligence in a people. And he gives it compares it with an example of stealing. He says, somebody hears that stealing is bad, he doesn't steal. Another person hears, but then he sees that somebody who steals, he got arrested, he will stop stealing. Third kind of person, he will read also, he will see others stealing, but still he will not stop stealing until unless he will be caught and put behind the bars. And there is fourth person, when he will be caught and kept behind the bar, he will be thinking, oh, actually, why I got caught? Because I did not use a drone technology. I should have done this kind of thing so that police would not catch me. So next time onwards, what I will do is, I will do this kind of theory and make full protection plan, and I will be safe from police. This will be his attitude. So these are the 4 kind of attitudes what people can carry. And we see sometimes devotees also have this kind of attitudes. We also can carry this kind of attitudes. And we know something is bad in the scriptures, but then we still do it. We see somebody else is struggling, we still do it. And sometimes we struggle, still we do it. And then we think, actually, I should not focus on improving myself. I should focus on proving myself. Why I am doing is right. And what I am doing is right. प्रभुजी समझना चाहिए आपको, आजकल इंटरनेट टेक्नोलॉजी का जमाना है. मोबाइल फोन यूज करे बगैर तो काम होता ही नहीं है. आप बोल रहे हो कि मोबाइल फोन नहीं यूज करना है. है ना, कैसे नहीं कर सकते वो, इट्स इम्पोर्टेंट, है ना, देन वी स्टार्ट जस्टिफाइंग। सो यही प्रभुपाद जी बता रहे हैं कि अटोनमेंट कितना भी कर लिया, सो नो मैटर हाउ मच अटोनमेंट वी डू, but actually still person commits the same sin. Now my question to all of you is that why even after committing atonement person can commit sin? He has atoned for the sins, na? Why he still commits the sin?
Prabhuji, because the sinful propensity does not go.
Great, amazing. है ना? So Prabhupada brings out this in his purport in a very beautiful way. He doesn't give straightforward answer, but he gives a very beautiful answer in the next continuing. He says, what is the problem with atonement? Problem with atonement, he gives three kind of example. Please, one of you can read, Prabhu.
He compared atonement to an elephant's bathing. The elephant may take a very nice bath in the river, but as soon as it comes into the bank, it throws dirt all over its body. What then the value of its bathing? Second, similarly, many spiritual practitioners chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and at the same time commit many forbidden things, thinking that their chanting will counteract their offenses. Of the 10 types of offenses one can commit while chanting the holy name of the Lord, this offenses is called namno baladhyasya hi papa buddhi, committing sinful activities on the strength of chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Third, similarly, certain Christians go to church to confess their sins, thinking that confessing their sins before a priest and performing some penances will relieve them from the results of their weekly sins. As soon as Saturday is over and Sunday comes, they again begin their sinful activities, expecting to the forgiving the next Saturday. This kind of prayashchit or atonement is condemned by Parikshit Maharaj, the most intelligent king of his time. Sukadev Goswami, equally intelligent, as befitting the spiritual master of Maharaj Parikshit, answered the king and confirmed that his atonement statement concerning atonement was correct. A sinful activity cannot be counted by a pious activity. Thus, real prashchit atonement is the awakening of our dormant Krishna consciousness.
Correct. So he says, Prabhupada says, giving example, elephant takes bath, again put mud. Some devotees chant Hare Krishna, but still commit offenses. Some Christian, they go for confession on Saturday, but commit again sin on Sunday. So all these things, actually, why they are again and again committing sin? Because they have not committed the real atonement. So dear devotees, if we see that in our life also same thing happens, we may face some problems in our life related to some sinful activities, and we may think that why I am committing these sinful activities. I know what is the solution. I know they are bad, four levels of intelligence, but still we commit. And then we use some artificial means to stop committing those activities. Some artificial means can be, okay, I will not look, बुरा मत देखो, बुरा मत सुनो, बुरा मत बोलो, all these things, है ना? But actually, the real solution to stop those sinful activity is to increase the norm of bhakti. That is a real solution. Here, why other solution will not work? Because we may stop them for some time, but the proclivity will still remain, as the answer was given. We will have those desires to enjoy. Those desires to enjoy will remain. Until that time, we will not be able to control that sinful activities. So therefore, the method is to revive back our dormant Krishna consciousness. To the degree we will revive, to that degree we will be able to control. Now, Prabhupada tells, how to revive that Krishna consciousness? By Krishna consciousness, how to revive that? So there are two methods what Prabhupada tells. First, traditional method of tapasya. So traditional method of tapasya, I will not read this, but you can see the photo or that GIF file. So you can see traditional method of tapasya means, doing some yoga asanas and, controlling the mind by breathing practices, controlling senses, giving charity, and all these things. They are very good, but Prabhupada says, they cannot help us much because we will not be able to practice them for a long time. So he says, when one follows a regulated hygienic process, it does not fall sick. a human being is meant to be trained as according to certain principles to revive his original knowledge. Such methodical life is described as tapasya. So when we follow those principles, it's called tapasya. And we do that tapasya, so we get some degree of control over, we revive some of our dormant Krishna consciousness and we get some control over our sinful activities. But the real solution, Prabhupada says, is given by Rupa Goswami. What is Rupa Goswami's recommended solution for real atonement so that we don't go for sin again? Please, somebody can read this second paragraph, Rupa Goswami's recommendation.
Rupa Goswami's recommendation. However, if one is fortunate enough to get the association of a pure devotee, he can easily surpass all the practices for controlling the mind by the mystic yoga process simply by following the regulative principles of Krishna consciousness. Refraining from illicit sex, meat eating, intoxication, and gambling, and be engaging in the service of the Supreme Lord under the direction of the bona fide spiritual master. This easy process is being recommended by Srila Rupa Goswami.
Easy process recommended. You can try the above one, but you can see how the person is following. But there is easy process. But what is that easy process? We should be fortunate enough to get association of pure devotee. First. Second, he says, once you get the association of pure devotee, then you refrain from 4 regulative principles. That's it. No illicit sex, no meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling. Bas, itna sa. And engage in the service of Supreme Lord under the direction of bona fide spiritual master. So do your service under the bona fide spiritual master. This easy process is being recommended by Srila Rupa Goswami. So this is an easy process through which we can actually really atone and revive back our dormant Krishna consciousness so that, we again don't commit sinful activities. So why Prabhupada speaks these two purports? Because Prabhupada wants to emphasize the importance of controlling mind and senses. Prabhupada is emphasizing. Because whether you go for a traditional process of tapasya or you go by this easy process given by Rupa Goswami, in both the processes, it's very important for us to learn to control mind and senses. So sometimes devotees may think that, oh, bhakti is a mark of kripa, mercy. So everything will happen by mercy. Let me not endeavor for controlling mind and senses. This kind of attitude is not healthy attitude for bhakti. This kind of attitude is not healthy. We have to try for controlling our mind and senses. We cannot give it up. Sometimes it's a scenario in case of devotees. They think, Prabhuji, it's enough. Let me stop. Let me just chant. Krishna will take care. No, don't give it up. You may fail in controlling mind and senses. That's not talked over here. But at least one should not give it up fully. Then Krishna will also give it up upon us. We should be hopeful that hum honge kamyab ek din. So now after telling these two paragraphs, Prabhupada starts with the first urge, and that urge is urge to speak. So what we will do is, we will not go by paragraph 3, 4, 5. We will see those paragraphs in which Prabhupada talks about urge to speak, and then Prabhupada, he also comments, he also gives a commentary of Bhakti Sanskara. So both the paragraphs we will see together, and then some extra notes on how to control that urge from Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam and all. And then we'll go to next urge. Like this will go. Okay? Is it all right?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
So let us go. So first urge which Prabhupada speaks is urge to speak. Please somebody read.
First, one must control his speaking power. Every one of us has the power of speech. As soon as we get an opportunity, we begin to speak. If we do not speak about Krishna consciousness, we speak about all sorts of nonsense. A trot in a field speaks by croaking, and similarly, everyone who has a tongue wants to speak, even if all he has to say in nonsense. The croaking of the toad, however, simply invites the snake. Please come here and eat me. Nevertheless, although it is inviting that, the toad goes on croaking. The talking of materialistic men and impersonalist Mayavadi philosophers may be compared to the croaking of frogs. They are always speaking nonsense and thus inviting that to catch them. Controlling speech, however, does not mean self-imposed silence, the external process of mourn. As Mayavadi philosophers think, silence may appear helpful for some time, but ultimately it proves a failure. Solution recommended. Solution.
Ah,
The meaning of controlled speech conveyed by Srila Rupa Goswami advocates the positive process of Krishna Katha, engaging the speaking process in glorifying the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. The tongue can thus glorify the name, form, qualities, and pastime of the Lord. The preacher of Krishna Katha is always beyond the clutches of death. This is the significance of controlling the urge of speak.
Swarup Goswami is very intelligent. He knows tongue has two functions, one to speak, another to eat. And therefore, he has kept both the urges separate. And first, urge to speak. First, let us talk about one thing. And then we'll talk about eating. Jiva Vegam. So, Prabhupada writes a very beautiful thing. First, one must control his speaking power. He says speaking is a power. And we see speaking is a power. We take in yoga for modern age when we tell about chanting Hare Krishna. We glorify how speeches, transform so many things, so many people's heart. Just speech, even in freedom fighters, they have given such a powerful speech. It influenced. Nowadays, there are influencers and motivational speakers. Their speaking is a power. So use it wisely. That's why Prabhupada writes this. In fact, all these 6 urges which we'll be discussing, if they are controlled, they can act as power in your life. And then Prabhupada directly comes to the solution. He doesn't talk about the problem only. Prabhupada is so enthusiastic. If we do not speak about Krishna consciousness, we speak about all sorts of answers. अरे बस सीधा बोल दिया भगवान के बारे में बोलोगे तो ठीक है वरना nonsense. And he gives example of toad when he talks. He invites. Actually, he's thinking I am inviting the opposite sex. But what is happening is he is inviting snake. Similarly, when a materialistic people talk about sense gratification, that is compared to speaking of a toad. And therefore, solution conveys is Krishna Katha, what Prabhupada says. And if somebody does Krishna Katha, then the snake of death doesn't come close to him. Rather, he goes closer to Krishna. So now, this solution which Prabhupada gives, but when he gives the commentary by Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur also talks about what does his urge to speak means. So he says there are 3 things which are covered in urge to speak. First, useless talking, such as of impersonal Mayavadi philosophers and person engaged in fruitive activities. So Gyan and Karma. When somebody is too much talking about Gyan and Karma, what are those Gyan and Karmas? Karmas means fruitive activities, ऐसा करेंगे तो ऐसा हो जाएगा. And Jnana means just act of controlling mind and senses and trying to understand Supreme Lord. So these are useless talks. Second kind of urge to speak is materialistic people who simply want to enjoy life without restriction. They just talk about enjoyment. ये भी enjoy करते, वो भी enjoy करते. Let me enjoy this way, that way. This is also comes under urge to speak. And third one, all such talks or literatures are practical execution of the urge. So many people are talking nonsensical and writing volumes of useless books. And all this is the result of urge to speak. So Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, he counts books also as urge to speak. And during his time, if Facebook, Instagram, YouTube would have been there, then he would have written those names also here. Because actually what is happening, there are urge in the people to speak and they don't get platform because there are no relations. Then what they do is they go online. Let us go online. And whole internet is filled with this urge to speak. Of course, other urges are also there, but mostly urge to speak. So we should understand in our life that we should be protecting ourselves from these 3 urges. Talks of karma and jnana. Second, talks about unrestricted enjoyment. Third, talks of nonsensical talks in the form of social media. So if somebody is consuming too much content, that also comes under the urge to speak. But what is the solution? Very interestingly, he also gives the solution same as Srila Prabhupada gives. And the solution is to counteract this tendency, we have to divert our talking to the subject of Krishna. And it gives these two famous shlokas of Bhagavatam. Why we are not reading this? Because so that we can discuss more. So he gives first shloka, Nayad vachas chitra padam harer yasho jagat pavitram pagranita karechit tadvayasam tirthamushanti manasa nayatra hamsa nirmantiu shikshaya. Two birds are talked, crow and swan. Crow goes to garbage and preferably dead bodies, but swan goes to clean, fresh water. So, very important thing, crow class and swan class man. Prabhupada, why he quotes this is, those people who are talking about gratification in this world, they are like crow class, chewing the chewed. The same subject matter. In fact, nowadays, what you find in movies or on internet, repeated in all movies, all videos, and people are having them, chewing the separates. And therefore, Prabhupada says one should be engrossing himself, but one should be attracted towards him. So, yes, devotees, the conclusion of or the essence of controlling this urge to speak is, the conclusion is that only when we talk about devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead can we refrain from useless, nonsensical talk. We should always endeavor to use our speaking power solely for the purpose of realizing Krishna consciousness. So, very important thing is, it's not that we just have to speak Krishna Gatha, but we have to speak about devotional service, which are Krishna Katha, which is for my devotional service. That is also counted in this urge to speak. And therefore, as a devotee, these tendencies of tongue, which is an urge. Urge means what? It's a force. It will come. You don't know when it will come. So a very interesting thing about urge, which is given is by devotees explain that just like in an exam, you know the syllabus, you know the date sheet, but you don't know the question paper. Correct? Of course, nowadays teacher release question paper also. That is another thing. But ideally, you know the date sheet, you know the syllabus, you don't know the question paper. But in the exam of life, you know the question paper, but you don't know the date sheet. These are the urges. You know when urge will come and how we should respond to that urge. But when it will come, we don't know. Therefore, they are called urges. They can come at any time. Therefore, the solution is not fighting with the urge when it comes. The solution is prevention. Before and only we are preparing ourselves so that when the urge comes, how I should be doing it. That is how this urge to speak is a very, very important thing here. Now, let us go ahead. We will skip this video, but let us see what Krishna has to speak about speaking. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says very beautiful shloka on austerity of speech. He says, Anudvega karam vakyam satyam priyahitam chayat swadhyaya abhyasanam chaiva vanmayam tapa uchyate. He says austerity of speech consists in speaking words that are truthful, pleasing, beneficial, and not agitating to others. Also in regularly reciting Vedic literatures. So 5 aspects of controlling urge to speech is given by Sri Krishna. One should speak truthful, one should be speaking pleasingly, it should be beneficial to others, it should not be agitating others, and also we should regularly recite Vedic literature if you cannot do all this 4. So there are 2 interpretations to this. First is that you should speak truthful, pleasing, beneficial, and not agitating. But if you cannot speak like this 4, keep quiet and read the scriptures. Another is read the scriptures, then you will get a power to speak truthfully, pleasingly, beneficially, and non-agitating to others. But among all these, which are the important ones? Which are the important ones? So our acharyas and various texts have analyzed that there might be chances, circumstances when we may not be able to speak truthful. We may have to speak lie, like mother giving medicine to a child. So okay, you can speak lie. But there might be some instances where I may not be able to speak truthful also and pleasingly also. Some truths are not pleasing, and sometimes we may have to speak agitatingly also. So it is given that okay, there may be some times when we may not speak truthfully, we may not speak pleasingly, we may even speak in an agitating way. But the most important component which we should follow in our speech is it should be beneficial. This is the most important component. So, devotees, whenever we are speaking, keep this in mind that whether my talk is beneficial to somebody, to other person or to myself. This is the prime. Of course, others are also very important. It should be truthful, pleasing, and non-agitating. But still, we should keep in mind one thing. It should be beneficial for everybody. And there are various examples which are given. If it is not beneficial, but truthful, pleasing, non-agitating, it doesn't benefit. So various example which is given here is, I will not go through all of them, but this red one, if you see, red one, the number one is, the talk is truth, pleasing and non-agitating. Kamsa's ministers praising him and advising him to kill Krishna and babies all born. So when Kamsa threw that Yog Maya on that stone, Yog Maya appeared and she said, Tera Kal, Janam le chuka hai, all these things. And then Kamsa, he becomes quiet. He says, मैं क्या करूं? और मैं कुछ नहीं कर सकता हूं. And that time his ministers comes in. They tell, Arey Maharaj, you are so great. You have conquered all the asuras, Agasur, Baka. Powerful. And it was pleasing that yes, I have conquered. And it was non-agitating. But the talk was not at all beneficial. He heard to them, and then what happened? He said, yes, Puta ko bulaya jaye, and let us kill all the babies born. And what happened is, and we know about what happened to Kamsa. Shishupal. It was neither truthful nor pleasing nor beneficial, non-agitating. Non-agitating. So these are the talks which doesn't benefit anybody. But on the contrary, we find other kinds of thought which has to be at least beneficial. So there are another example like Krishna rebuking Arjuna. Are you important person? You are calling yourself Aryan, and here you are fearing to fight. So it is agitating talk, not pleasing to hear. But it is beneficial and it is truthful also. So this beneficial element is very important. An ideal speech is by Krishna. And Krishna says about Sarva Dharman Parityaja. This shloka is counted among ideal shlokas. It's pleasing, truthful. Krishna is saying, I'll take care. It's pleasing, yes, I don't have to worry. I just have to surrender to Krishna. It's non-agitating. It's supremely beneficial. So this is how urge to speak has to be checked. Any questions, Prabhuji? Then we'll go to urge of mind. Was it too fast? Was it too much? Was it irrelevant? Yes, Aman Prabhu.
तो जी डिवोशनल सर्विस में एटोनमेंट कितना रोल प्ले करता है? लाइक जैसे इसमें प्रभुपाद स्टार्ट करते हैं परफेक्ट एटोनमेंट से, तो इसमें
अटोनमेंट डिवोशनल सर्विस में काम करता है. अगर वो अटोनमेंट से हमारा भक्ति इंक्रीज हो रहा हो तो वो अटोनमेंट यूजफुल है. अगर हम अटोनमेंट कर रहे हैं लेकिन भक्ति का लेना देना नहीं है तो यूजफुल नहीं है. जस्ट लाइक समटाइम्स दिस, आपने देखा वो वीडियो आया था एक, लाइक वी हैव दिस मेथड दैट इफ सम डिवोटीज आर कमिंग लेट इन मॉर्निंग प्रोग्राम दे कैन राइट महामंत्रस, है ना. सो व्हाट वन डिवोटी डिड, he took 3 pens and on 3 pens he's writing Mahamantra. So that kind of atonement is not working. You know. Another devotees, what they did in our time, what they used to do, in their free time, they used to write Mahamantras. You know, they keep on writing Mahamantras. And whenever there was punishment, Prabhuji ये लीजिए 54 ये इतने वाले 54 आज के हैं बाकी मैंने प्रिजर्व कर करके फ्यूचर के लिए. So such kind of atonement doesn't work. But atonement, genuine atonement, which we are doing for increasing our bhakti, it is helping us to increase our bhakti. That will work. Is it clear, bro?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, next Prakash Prabhu. Prakash. Yes.
Prabhuji, like Miss, we were telling this Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur Maharaj about Jnana. So, which Jnana is this? Like in Bacho Vega.
See, Gyan Yoga kind of things which are given in the scriptures. Like for example, when Rupa Goswami gives definition of pure bhakti, he says, Jnana Karmadi Anavritam. So karma we understand fruitive activities. Jnana we understand what? Jnana is when we are completely focusing upon controlling ourselves. Yogi, depending upon himself, not accepting or acknowledging the mercy factor of the Lord. And just trying to understand scriptures in a way, I will do it. This kind of tendencies. This kind of tendency comes under Jnana tendencies, which one should not be focusing. Yes, one should be focusing. Like there are many devotees, when they talk about Prabhu. See, it's not possible to practice pure bhakti. We cannot practice. We cannot go back to God. So fallen we are. We have to do lot of tapasya. We have to born Brahmana family. We have to, born and brought up as a devotee. So such kind of talks are not recommended. Because Prabhupada clearly says that one can go back to God in this very lifetime. If he perfectly, serve spiritual masters and get the mercy. That's what Prabhupada says. Easy method is to get association of pure devotee. So one should be having faith on this rather than the other aspects. Is it clear? Yes, Asha.
Hare Krishna, Guruji. Guruji, is there any example of some talk which is agitating but beneficial also, and how can it be good for the person?
We gave an example of Krishna speaking to Arjuna. It was agitating to Arjuna, but it was beneficial. Arjuna became his disciple. Similarly, Narad Muni, when he approaches Dhruv Maharaj, Narad Muni, hey, बच्चे जाओ वापस क्या कर रहे हो यहाँ पे है ना Dhruv Maharaj है ना he shows his more determination बच्चा समझ कर गया क्या है ना I want if you want to tell me the process of reaching Lord tell me otherwise get lost है ना and such talks are also done by teachers. Prabhupada says in other places. Suppose a guru is chastising the disciple, so it is agitating for disciple, but that is good for the disciple. Okay? Any other questions? No questions. Prabhuji क्या बताएं सब तो जा रहा है ठीक है अंदर है ना. So let us move ahead. Now we have talked about urge to speak. Now Prabhupada starts about urge of mind and anger. So both of these Prabhupada clubs together. So Prabhupada says, somebody can read Prabhu?
The restlessness or
Read fast, because time is less, so speed should be more.
the restlessness or fickleness of the mind. Manovega is controlled when one can fix his mind on the lotus feet of Krishna. The
Little slow, moderate.
The Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya 22.31 says, Krishna Surya Sama Maya Haya Andakar, Yaha Krishna Taha Nahi Maya Radhikar. Krishna is just like the sun and Maya is just like darkness. If the sun is present, there is no question of darkness. Similarly, if Krishna is present in the mind, there is no possibility of the minds being agitated by Maya's influence. The yogic process of negating all material thoughts will not help. To try to create a vacuum in the mind is artificial. The vacuum will not remain. However, if one always thinks of Krishna and how to serve Krishna best, one's mind will naturally be controlled.
Correct. So, interesting thing here is that Prabhupada directly talks about controlling. Again, controlling. Because Prabhupada was knowing that people know that their minds are not controlled, you know. But he comes to direct a solution. He says restlessness or fickleness of the mind. What is this restlessness and fickleness of the mind? Hmm? And how it can be understood. So actually, Krishna tells this thing in uh, Bhagavatam. It comes 11th canto. When Krishna talks about urge of mind, he says, "Manascha sankalpa vikalpa vrittiyat." It says, "Manas consists of function of vikalpa and sankalpa, distinct options and determination." So, what is this fickleness of the mind constitute of? See, mind, we know it has two functions, sankalpa, vikalpa. Very easy to understand. We open our YouTube. Don't open now, later on. And there are so many vikalpas we get, distinct options. And there are so many distinct options. So mind sees the distinct option. And immediately minds, he gets start thinking, Arey, how is this option was good previously, whether it gave good experience and all these things. And mind have his emotions, that store bank, it brings out. Seeing all these vikalpas. And I like here I showed Chaitanya movie, Arey, it will be very good. Let me see. Oh, India and Pakistan final match, what happened? Acha, I can hear some other gurus. I know something good is happening in ISKCON in other places. Let me see what people are doing. So all this kind of, vikalpas which mind gives for doing. This is called vikalpa. And then finally, mind chooses one of those vikalpas. That is called sankalpa. Let me just, have a look at the match. After other things are okay. So this is the fickleness of the mind, which, Prabhupada is talking about. Mano Vega. And this Mano Vega is controlled, Prabhupada says, when one fixes his mind on the lotus feet of Krishna. So what does it mean focusing our mind on the lotus feet of Krishna? So he says, very beautiful example, why Prabhupada quotes Krishna Surya Sama? Because if in a room there is light, there is no question of darkness. Similarly, if in our mind is occupied by thinking about Krishna, by serving Krishna, and by talking about Krishna, all these things, when our mind is filled with those thoughts, then there will be no room for these other fickleness to come in. Like for example, if our mind is filled with thoughts of Krishna, all these options will come, but then you will not look at them. I'll give you example of myself only, because I am preparing for all of you this nectar of instruction. So this screenshot when I was taking of this all thumbnails of YouTube. So when I just opened YouTube and I got these thumbnails. So although these thumbs and nails were there, just like we saw this Chaitanya movie and India-Pakistan final match. But because my mind was occupied, I have to prepare NOI, I have to prepare NOI, I have to prepare NOI. Because of that, I did not click on them, because I was knowing if I click, so NOI to kahin aur chale jayega, and I will go somewhere else. Understood now? You have a focus. Similarly, when mind is filled with some Krishna conscious activity, thoughts, then we can give up the fickleness of the mind. This is a solution which Prabhupada is trying to share with all of us. Other negation process will not work. What is this negation process? To neglect the mind. Prabhupada says in one of the purport, to neglect the mind is a solution, but that is not the permanent solution. Why it is not permanent solution? Why? So it is said here, because Krishna tells mind is so powerful. Krishna says, Chanchalam hi mana, this is given in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, Chanchalam hi mana, Arjuna says, Chanchalam hi mana, Krishna pramati balavadridam, tasyaham nigraham manne vayuriva suduskaram. Actually, Arjuna on behalf of all of us have done the analysis of mind. Mind is having four very powerful persons. First, it is restless, like monkey. Always keeps on jumping from here and there. You cannot stop monkey at one place. Second, it is turbulent. Turbulent like elephant. It means turbulent means it is very strong. Just like we see that elephant, it uproots the tree. So strong. And turbulent also constitutes of, it says that um, uh, it always keeps on creating some disturbances. You know? So mad elephant, he always keeps on creating some disturbance. So similarly, mind function is to create disturbance in us. Third, obstinate, angry. Just like there is bull riding in America. People ride over bull. And strongest person can ride over a bull for maximum 7, 8, 9, 10 seconds. You cannot control for much time. Similarly, mind cannot be controlled for long time. It's so agitating. And we all have experienced. Today, I feel I have controlled the mind. And tomorrow, I have not controlled. And fourth is very strong. Very, very strong. No matter what you do, it's like dog tail. कुछ भी कर लिया नहीं होता है. And I have shown in picture, mind is like a child. Child is having all these four qualities. And you see that father is taking his child, catching hold of his upper cap and dragging him because child is so obstinate like monkey. So Krishna to Arjuna says that I think it cannot be controlled. But then Krishna gives a solution. What is the solution? It comes in Bhagavatam. Bhratravyam enam tadabhadraviryam उपेक्षया येदितम् अप्रमत्ता गुरोर्हरे चरणो पाशनाष्ट्रो जहि वेलिकम स्वयमात्ममोसम. So he says, this uncontrolled mind is the greatest enemy of the living entity. If one neglects it or gives it a chance, it will grow more and more powerful and will become victorious. Just by giving it a chance, ऐसा मत सोचो आज मन को बोल दिया तो शांत हो जाएंगे, ना. Or neglecting it will not work. Then how it will be controlled? O king, please try to conquer this mind by the weapon of service to the lotus feet of spiritual master and of the supreme personality of God. Do this with care. Only one solution of mind is to engage in service and under the guidance of spiritual master. Not any kind of engagement, but engagement under the guidance of spiritual master. So what happens is, we hear that story of a jinn who was engaged. Similarly, when we are under the guidance of any authority and he gives us spiritual engagement and then we do it, then we can control our mind. If we think ourselves we will control, there is a saying, self-accountability is the weakest accountability. Self-accountability is the weakest accountability. So if you think I'll control my mind on my own, sorry to say, it's very difficult. We have to have somebody who can help us. Therefore, Prabhupada is telling, engage your mind in Krishna consciousness under the instructions of spiritual master. So stop here, devotees. It's already 8 o'clock. Thank you very much. Tomorrow we will continue with anger, urge of anger, and what Prabhupada talks about anger. And Krishna willing, we'll go further. It's very slow, we are running, but still at least we could cover 2 urges today of speech and another urge of mind. Thank you very, very much. Hare Krishna. If any question is there, others can leave and maybe we can take for 5 minutes question answers. Yes, you want to make some announcement, others too?
Another question I would like to ask.
Okay,
Question.
so others can leave. Officially, we have ended. We're not going to cover any other thing, but question we will see for 5 minutes. Yes, Prabhu.
But like you told about mind has two functions, sankalpa and vikalp. So sankalp means determination. So means vikalp means in Hindi we say options also, means options vikalp. And vikalp either opposite of sankalp is also vikalp. So vikalp two meaning, less determination also and options also. Means if we have too many options, then it shows less determination.
Correct. That's why Krishna says, Bhaushaakayanantasya buddhayo avevasayinam. If you have many options, buddhi will be avevasai buddhi. Perfectly. So therefore, we have to focus on one thing. We have to have mission, focused. And that is given by Guru and Krishna. Do this. I'll do this. Then mind can be engaged. If you are, that's why Prabhupada says, sense gratification, Krishna consciousness goes ill together. That's it.
One more question, like when you're saying that neglecting the mind, means two things come in it. कि mind is very flickering. अगर इस concept को हम neglect करते हैं तो बहुत danger आता है. एक ये चीज, और दूसरा चीज कि जब थॉट्स आते हैं देन नेग्लेक्ट द माइंड, जस्ट थिंक नथिंग अबाउट इट, नेग्लेक्ट इट. Two statements are different or same?
So actually, what is Lord Krishna says, actually that shloka was from Bhagavatam. Neglecting the mind will not help in longer run. It may have for a small period of time, but in ultimate sense, we have to control it by following the instructions of Guru. It may help in smaller terms, but we can also see Ajamila try to neglect his mind. How much it worked? In that shloka, it will grow more stronger because they are neglecting. It will become more stronger. मेरे को neglect करते अब बताता हूँ तुमको ऐसा. So don't take it cheaply. Mind your mind. Yes. Thank you.
Thank
Yes,
you.
fast.
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी, धन्यवाद प्रभु. थैंक यू प्रभु जी फॉर दिस क्लास. प्रभु जी एक मतलब एक थोड़ा सा संशय ये हो रहा था कि जब हम माइंड और सेंसेस को कंट्रोल करने के लिए जाते हैं, ऑल्दो पता है कि ये एक प्रोसेस है, एक दिन में नहीं होगा, लेकिन फिर भी जब नहीं होता है कंट्रोल तो एक वो ऐसा लगता है कि यार ये मेरे से नहीं हो पाएगा. तो ये कैसे इस प्रोसेस में बने रह सकते हैं? वरना ऐसा प्रोसेस से होता है कि हम प्रोसेस ही छोड़ दिया इसको कंट्रोल करने का, जब कभी मतलब फेल होते हैं.
एक्चुअली ये जो अर्जेस है, प्रभुपाद आगे भी लिखते हैं, ये अर्जेस वी हैव टू फेस थ्रू आउट आवर लाइफ. ऐसा है. ये जो 6 की 6 अर्जेस हैं, आपको लग रहा है 5 साल 10 साल 15 साल 50, ना 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 ना, जब तक आप है तब तक ये आपके साथ रहने वाली है. वाचो वेगम मनसा क्रोध जीवा उदर उपस्थ 6 की 6. So it's constant fight which we need to do. So now you only tell me, if I had told you that some task you have to do constantly, how you'll do that task?
गुरु जी उसको बेस्ट एबिलिटी से ट्राई करते रहेंगे हमेशा, की मतलब कितना बेस्ट कर सकते हैं.
Okay. In another sense, it is said that if I have to do that task throughout now, what I'll do is I'll get habit of doing that task. Just like we all have habit of brushing our teeth, we all have habit of taking bath, we all have got habit of wearing dhoti kurta, and we find out faster and faster ways how to wear dhoti. है ना. So many times dhoti have two side, one we put behind, one we put ahead. So ahead put करते करते उसमें crease automatically बन जाती है, देखा आपने. And every time we just do that creasing and put it. So actually mind control and focusing on Krishna, we should make it a habit. That's how we will be able to do it for a longer time. We should make it a habit that my mind should be engaged. So let me keep it engaged. Therefore, it is said free time is not a luxury. Free time is not a luxury. I should understand that I should not allow my mind to be free. Of course, I need not to take pressure all the time. But free means that my mind should not have free time to think anything. Okay, sometimes I can relax and I can focus my mind on just hearing. And in yogas, asanas, they tell you to focus your mind on breathing. So get a habit of not keeping your mind idle. Just like that jinn was given a punishment to climb up the stairs, come down, climb up the stairs, come down. Similarly, get a habit of not allowing your mind to be alone. Okay?
Prabhuji, any tips for me to do so?
Maybe that too you have to ask your counselor. But maybe I think most of the time when people have they don't know what to do next, that is the time when they face problem. So we should always have some task. Keep yourself busy. And you might have seen when we have camps or something like this, we are super busy. No time for mind. I remember when I did my second Nirjala Ekadashi, I was at Utkarsha camp in Mayapur. So everybody was telling एक महीने पहले से बातें शुरू हो गई, एकादशी निर्जल मायापुर में पसीना आके पानी पीना ही पड़ेगा तेरे को. मैं भी सोच हाँ पानी पीना ही पड़ेगा, मायापुर में निर्जल एकादशी नहीं हो सकती. उत्कर्ष कैंप में इतने बिजी थे पता ही नहीं चला निर्जल एकादशी कब हो गई, है ना. सो एक्चुअली बिजी रखना पड़ेगा आपको अपने आप को. तो अगर आप बिजी नहीं है तो मैं रिकमेंड करूंगा जो भी आपको गाइड कर रहे हैं उनसे पूछिए प्रभु जी कैसे बिजी करूं, कुछ टास्क लीजिए अपने लिए. ऑलवेज जितनी क्षमता है उससे थोड़ा एक्स्ट्रा लीजिए. स्ट्रेस जोन में थोड़ा सा रहना चाहिए, कंफर्ट जोन में नहीं रहना चाहिए. वर्किंग डिवोटीज कंफर्ट जोन में आ जाते हैं, उनको लगता है सब टास्क तो कर दिया हमने वॉइस में, अब क्या करना है, अब बस आराम करना है. ये प्रॉब्लम आ जाती है. ठीक है. तो अपने स्ट्रेस में रखिए। यस अमन प्रूफ,
थैंक यू
जल्दी
प्रभु।
बताइए।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी।
बोलो जल्दी बोलो।
हाँ, हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी। प्रभु जी, मैं पूछ रहा था प्रभु जी, कई बार हम ऐसा सोचते हैं कि सेल्फ एंगेजमेंट बनाते हैं। आवाज आ रही है प्रभु जी?
हाँ आवाज आ रही लेकिन दिख नहीं रहे आप।
अच्छा, वीडियो ऑन नहीं है प्रभु जी, वीडियो ऑन कर लेता हूँ।
ओ ऐसा है क्या?
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी।
हाँ बताइए।
जी, कई बार हम सोचते हैं जैसे कि सेल्फ एंगेजमेंट बनाते हैं कि खुद बिजी रखने के लिए खुद ही एंगेजमेंट्स बनाते हैं, लेकिन दूसरा पॉइंट हम बोल रहे थे कि सर्विसेज जो है गुरु कृष्णा के अंडर में होनी चाहिए, तो वो सेल्फ एंगेजमेंट बनाते हैं और सेल्फ अकाउंटेबिलिटी इज द वीकेस्ट अकाउंटेबिलिटी। तो खुद ही अकाउंटेबल रहे, मुझे ये करना है, तो वो कितना सही है प्रभु जी, और कितना कर पाएंगे वो हम लोग ऐसा?
सही नहीं है।
ठीक है, तो फिर कैसे करने का प्रभु जी, मतलब कैसे कर सकते हैं?
फिर अकाउंटेबल बनिए।
मतलब वो सर्विस, फिर हमारे पास एंगेजमेंट ज्यादा नहीं है तो एंगेजमेंट ज्यादा कैसे करें, मतलब ऐसे?
पूछ के देखिए क्या है। अगर आप सेल्फ एंगेजमेंट भी क्रिएट कर रहे हैं ना, तो माय सजेशन इज कीप इट अंडर द गाइडेंस। जैसे मैं आपको बताता हूँ, एक बुक है गोद्रुम कल्पतरी, ये भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर ने लिखा, प्रीचिंग कैसे करना है, ये बुक का ना मतलब गोली है, ये कैसे प्रीचिंग करना है। तो जैसे हम लोग सीखते हैं, राधेश्याम प्रभु ने हमको सिखाया है कि कैसे एक फ्रंट लाइनर होता है, एक फैसिलिटेटर होता है, एक प्रीचर होता है, एक काउंसलर होता है, ऐसे सब कुछ होता है। ऐसे सब रैंक्स बनाते हैं भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर गोद्रुम कल्पतरी में, सारे रैंक्स ऐसे हैं। लेकिन सारे रैंक की ड्यूटीज भी लिखते हैं। एक चीज हर एक ड्यूटी में कॉमन है, रिपोर्टिंग, रिपोर्टिंग और रिपोर्टिंग। तो कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, आप सेल्फ एंगेजमेंट बनाइए, रिपोर्टिंग कर दीजिए। समझ आ रहा है? लाइक फॉर एग्जाम्पल नाउ आई एज अ ब्रह्मचारी, आई एम इन झांसी एंड माय काउंसलर इज इन सम अदर प्लेस, है ना? सो नाउ आई एम हियर एंड आई विल डू सो मेनी थिंग्स, बट व्हाट इज important is how I am reporting to him that I am doing this, I am doing. So when we report, na two factors happen. One, mind, he understand, अरे कुछ भी ऐसा करूंगा गलत हो सकता है. And second thing is, we comes under the fold of bhakti, because bhakti means under the guidance of spiritual master or somebody superior. And if we are doing on our own, that means we are coming under the fold of gyanis. And then it's all on our own. And that's what happened. Gyanis try to control their mind and senses on their own. And that's why they fail. But bhaktas, they try their best, leave the rest to Krishna. But leave the rest to Krishna means to allow Krishna to interfere. He interferes through his devotees. And that's why we allow devotees to, take charge. That's what we see in Bhagavad Gita. Whole concept is that Krishna took the charge of Arjuna when Arjuna surrendered. So this is an important factor for controlling mind. And you will see anything wrong which we are doing, even though it is seemingly to be favorable for bhakti, we will, if we are fearing to tell it to superiors, that means we are not right. It's something wrong. We need to ask. And once we ask, even if something looking to be unfavorable for bhakti will not affect us. It will not affect us. Like we see that, I'll not mention the name, but there are so many devotees who are very famous on social media. In fact, we know the two famous devotees of our ISKCON, correct? Those are very famous on social media. Both of them, they say that they are doing it under the guidance of their spiritual master. And that's why even though so famous, they are not affected by Maya till now, because they are doing under the guidance. And there are many people who without guidance and they get affected. Okay?
Yes, प्रभु जी,
Thank you. Last, Aman Prabhu, please quickly.
यस प्रभु जी, जैसे कि भागवत गीता में हम पाते हैं कि उसमें मेंशन है कि जैसे सेंसेस से ऊपर माइंड है, माइंड से ऊपर इंटेलिजेंस है, इंटेलिजेंस से ऊपर पॉलिसी को है। और प्रभु जी हम लोग कई जगह पाते हैं तो मतलब कृष्ण मेनली बोलते हैं कि माइंड में मेरे को रिमेम्बर करो, मन मना भाव मत बख्शो मध्य माम नमस्कुरु, या माइंड कंट्रोल पे ज्यादा फोकस रहता है। तो प्रभु जी क्या इसमें कुछ डिफरेंस है, लाइक इसमें प्रायोरिटी क्या है, मतलब किनको कंट्रोल करने प्रायोरिटी देना है?
ओके, सो एक्चुअली क्या है, दो चीजें हैं जो आप बता रहे हैं। माइंड के ऊपर इंटेलिजेंस है, और बहुत सारी जगह ऐसे भी लिखा है कि इंटेलिजेंस के ऊपर माइंड है, माइंड कंट्रोल कर लेता है इंटेलिजेंस को, ऊपर है। तो जो फर्स्ट चीज है, आपका जो क्वेश्चन है कि फिर हमको क्या करना चाहिए, हमको इंटेलिजेंस से माइंड को कंट्रोल करना चाहिए या फिर माइंड को कंट्रोल करने के लिए सोचना चाहिए, माइंड में कृष्ण को सोचना, यही क्वेश्चन है ना? तो
Yes,
मेरा
Prabhuji.
आंसर, हाँ, तो मेरा आंसर आपके लिए रहेगा कि दोनों करना चाहिए, क्योंकि कृष्ण ने बोला है मन मना भव मत भक्तो, यू शुड एब्जॉर्ब योर मन ओवर मी। और कृष्ण ने ये भी बोला है कि आपको जो मति है, इंटेलिजेंस है, वो भी मेरे ऊपर लगानी चाहिए। तो दोनों करना चाहिए, दोनों अलग अलग चीज है। भाई सब कुछ कृष्ण की सेवा में होना चाहिए ना। मैं तो कह रहा हूँ फॉल्सी को भी कृष्ण की सेवा में होना चाहिए। आगे जाके हम देखेंगे कल वाले में एंगर भी कृष्ण की सेवा में होना चाहिए, सब कुछ कृष्ण की सेवा में, बॉडी भी कृष्ण की सेवा में होनी चाहिए। हाँ, नाउ द पॉइंट इज कि ठीक है, कभी कभार हो सकता है हम एक चीज ना कृष्ण की सेवा में लगा पाए तो दूसरी चीज लगानी चाहिए, है ना? जैसे हम अम्बरीश महाराज देख रहे थे, सारे सेंसेस कृष्ण की सेवा में थे, करेक्ट ना? सवई मना कृष्ण पदार विंदयो वाचाम से वैकुंठ, तो हमारे भी सारे सेंसेस कृष्ण की सेवा में होने चाहिए। इट्स नॉट कि एक करना है दूसरा करना है, ऐसा नहीं है, सारे ही करना है। तेरा तुझको अर्पण क्या लागे, मेरा से लोग गाते हैं ना, वैसा। बट अब हमको देखना है कि क्या मेरे लिए इजी है। तो कुछ डिवोटीज होते हैं इंटेलेक्चुअल होते हैं, उनके लिए इंटेलिजेंस लगाना इजी है, तो ठीक है वो लगाइए। कुछ डिवोटीज होते हैं थोड़े डिवोशनल होते हैं, मतलब डिवोशनल इमोशनल होते हैं, तो उनको माइंड लगाना इजी, तो वो लगाइए। कुछ ना तो इंटेलिजेंट होते हैं ना इमोशनल होते हैं, उनको फिजिकल वर्क करना अच्छा लगता है, तो वो करिए। मगर करिए, कुछ तो करिए, है ना? सारे ही करना है, लेकिन स्टार्ट किसी से तो करिए, ठीक है? So thank you very, very much,
थैंक यू
devotees, for your patient hearing. And please pray so that I can also control this urge to speak and mind. Hare Krishna. So tomorrow we'll meet with anger and not anger, nahi hai, aisa anger, urge to anger, how to use that. And second thing we will see is uh, Jiva, Jiva Vegam.